To begin, I'll make a front page and a table page. On the table page, I add a date column and a randomized phone number that called that day. I name the table TBL calls, which we can use later on in VBA like a named range. I then add two fields, a username field and a date to filter field. I'll be using the date to filter the table in my next macro. I name the two cells so I can more easily refer to them in VBA. Before I forget, I'll save the workbook as a macro-enabled workbook. I navigate to the This Workbook object where I can select the event. I want to hide the table page and delete the entered username and date before I close the workbook. I only need to use one variable since I've used named ranges, so I dim sh as worksheet. In order to clear the contents of a named range, I just have to use the range function and refer to the name instead of a cell reference. At this point, I'm changing the code name of the two sheets, which will make it easier to refer to them in VBA. It also means you can change the name inside Excel and still have the code work. I want to also remove any applied filters to the table before closing my workbook. I need to add the If Not Auto Filter is Nothing part to ensure VBA won't crash if there's no filter on the table. I loop through all the sheets in my workbook and hide them if the name isn't front page. A user could rename the sheet, which would pose a problem, but I don't consider that likely. All I have to do to unhide the sheets is to simply loop through all sheets in the workbook and change the visibility status to visible. Now I can add a button to assign my macro to. By holding down the Alt key, I can more easily make the button fit inside the cells. I can also have this macro run as an open workbook event. This would make the worksheets visible the instant you enable macros.